Now,
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Game junkie, Gerard Campbell.
A simple support mission, they said.
It's a fake, what you found.
Fake, sir?
Dummy. We think it's a dry run.
Nothing's ever really that simple, though.
They're building a weapon. What we know about it so far scares the shit out of us. What we don't know scares us a lot fucking more. We want you to do what you do best. Be unorthodox. Be lethal. Can you do that for me?
We can do that, sir.
the game is Battlefield Bad Company 2. A few weeks ago we talked about the demo with Gerard Campbell, game junkie at stuff.co.nz. The full game is out now, and Gerard is back once again to tell us his thoughts on it, and also my thoughts as well, because we've both been playing this one. Hello to you, Gerard.
Hello there, Wammo. How are you?
Very good, very good. Now, we were hotly anticipating this game because the multiplayer demo on the Xbox 360 at least was absolutely amazing. And now the game's been out a couple of weeks now. What are your first impressions?
Oh, look, this is probably one of the only sort of, first-person shooter types that I can remember that I actually jumped into the multiplayer first before the single-player campaign. And I think because, I think the multiplayer beta had a lot to do with that, because you get a good feel of what the beta's like. And as you said, it was such a good experience in the beta that, it gave us that tantalizing little glimpse of what the beta was on one of the maps, and then getting the chance to do it for proper was too good to pass up. So no, multiplayer was brilliant, and I think we'll talk about the multiplayer shortly, but I think the single player, I thought the single player was enjoyable, but it's I was a wee bit disappointed by it. It seemed to be very, very by the numbers in terms of first-person shooting. It ticked all the right boxes. It had exploding things, and it had the obligatory mad Russian who wants to blow up the world, and you've got to stop him. And so I think in terms of the story and the gameplay, it didn't really deviate from your standard war first-person shooter. It had some great elements. It had some good levels that were inventive and all. But I think at the end of the day, you're not going to buy a Battlefield game for the single-player campaign.
And so the single player takes you also to different sort of hotspots around the world, though, doesn't it? But do you think it seems like that they were kind of just making up excuses in the story plot to actually get you going to those places around the world?
Yeah, because the story seemed to be sort of fairly disjointed. You seemed to be going all over the place. 1 minute you'd be in sort of Russian Antarctic sort of area, the next time you'd be in Bolivia, then you'd be in a sandy desert in the Middle East somewhere. So you were, the story didn't seem to be very sort of cohesive. It seemed to be jumping all over the place. And the single player had great, it's got the great humour that the first Battlefield game had between the four protagonists on the Bad Company squad, and that was good and it bantered. But part of me thinks that maybe the single player was just there because they felt that maybe they had to put a single player with it, that maybe they couldn't just do it as a multiplayer game.
Well, I was going to say one thing that I found with both Battlefield Bad Company 2 and the first Modern Warfare games is the little bit like, the formula that things run in, the basically the story corridor that you have to run down, and
yes.
and the way the AI also reacts. So if you don't achieve something and then you have to keep on going back to your checkpoint, very soon you get to learn exactly what the AI is going to do, and stuff becomes quite predictable.
Yeah, well, I felt that the single player was a wee bit like this too, because despite the fact, some of the levels look, especially like in Bolivia, one of the first scenes when you land in Bolivia, it's this fantastical wide open space of mountains and Bolivian jungles, but it's actually quite deceptive. It is actually quite a linear campaign, and the checkpoints are actually quite spaced out quite widely. So if you're spending several minutes fighting your way through somewhere, and then you get gunned down by the AI enemies who are amazingly good shots, even with shotguns, from a distance. You've got to replay back from the first checkpoint, so you might have to play those several minutes again. So yeah, as I said, it was enjoyable and it had its really good moments, but I think it was, it was one of those single player campaigns that, if you died enough, you could actually predict where the AI would be, where they'd come from, and sort of what their tactics were.
What about the multiplayer? Because on that first weekend that we had the game, we jumped straight in there and we had some spare time, some very rare spare time that we have, Gerard.
Yes, very true.
And we got in together on the Xbox Live and started playing, and we squatted up.
Yeah, I mean that was awesome. I mean, I think if anyone's got this game and they get the chance, to squat up with friends, because that's how it should be played. I mean, it's you're going to have times when you're going to have to do it on your own, but I think it just plays a lot better, and the experience is a lot sweeter if you've got people that and you actually work together as a team, as a squad, and you watch each other's back, because then you're going to progress through it a lot better, and it's going to be a far more enjoyable experience. You can watch each other's back, you can work towards the objective, and it's an amazing experience. And I think this is what will ensure the longevity of this Battlefield game, is that the multiplayer is really, really good. That good, and especially the rush. I mean, the rush is just brilliant. The fact that if you're an attacker, you'll go for the first two MCOM stations, and if you get those, then the defenders drop back to defend the next two, then they drop back to defend the next two, and then there's the finale. So I think it would seem to be really, really well paced. I mean, did you think that it was a well paced campaign?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I felt it was really, really well paced. The other thing that really interests me in this game and makes it far more playable and makes the levels change each time you get into them is the destructibility of the environments as well. Yep. The fact that everything around you, the buildings, the trees, the fences, vehicles, everything is destructible.
Yep, it's good, because I mean the first Battlefield Bad Company had partial destructible terrain. So I mean and if you blew up a building, you could see where the cutouts were. But the brilliance of this now is in war games a few years ago, if you're a sniper, you could quite happily perch yourself up on a outcrop of rocks behind some trees and snipe away to your heart's content, because you knew that the trees would be an impenetrable barrier and nothing could get through. But now as I found in some of the first early rounds that I played, you can perch yourself up there thinking I'm protected by the trees, and suddenly next minute the trees were exploding around you, and you've suddenly lost your cover. So having that destructible terrain actually brings a whole new dimension to how you can play. You actually had to play it, I think, a lot more tactically, because you haven't got that certainty of a building that is always going to be there and provide that protection for you from the enemy, and it certainly adds a really nice dimension to it. Does
the game also make you want to achieve, particularly in the multiplayer, do you want to keep on going and want to keep on getting better because you get better weapons, and therefore you have a little one over, I suppose, younger players?
Yeah, I think it does. As more and more games are doing, there's a lot more sort of skill-based, I guess, achievements and rewards that you're getting. Like I found that when we were playing in the squad that we did, that you got a token or a reward for if you manage to protect your teammates after they've been attacked by somebody else. So there is this and the collectible weapons too. And that's in the single-player campaign that you can use. It's actually a good incentive for you to use more weapons rather than sticking with the same tried and true weapon that you want to use. You can actually diverse and change. And I think too that the classes, they're the standard, your standard classes: engineer, medic, sort of sniper, stealth, and normal soldier. But being able to repair, like if you're an engineer, being able to repair vehicles on the battlefield, that's a crucial part for your team. So if you work together as a team, if your vehicle gets destroyed and you've got an engineer, they can repair the vehicle for you, plus that adds more points for your team. So I mean, I think for this one, teamwork is really, really important. As you're going to get with a lot of multiplayer games, you're going to get people who go on and just run around randomly, shoot all the enemies and run around. But I think Battlefield 2 has got a really strong emphasis on the teamwork. You have to work as a team. How many is in your squad to actually take those stations or defend those stations? Because I think that's the only way that's going to work. And I think, it's great. It's great fun. And I can see myself playing this for a long time. Absolutely.
Well, next time we're both in there together, I've got your back, Gerard.
You got my back. Excellent. I love it.
That is Gerard Campbell talking about Battlefield Bad Company 2. The full game is out now. It's out on Xbox, PlayStation, and on the PC as well. We'll see you next time, Gerard.
Beautiful. Thank you, Emma.
And of course, stuff.co.nz is where you'll find his blog as well.